I'm Danielle Glesney, dietitian for Imago Nutrition. And today we have a question from Alyssa in Washington. And if you would like to submit a question, please go visit our website at Imago, IMAGO Nutrition, and submit a question for one of these podcast episodes. So the question Alyssa has is, how do my nutritional needs change while breastfeeding? Do I need the same ratios of macronutrients, just higher quantities? And what micronutrients do I need more of? So that's a really great question. I know it's specific to a certain, life stage, breastfeeding. So what I'll do is give some information about this question, and hopefully others of you can give this information to a friend or family member that might be in this life stage. So the dietary guidelines now address recommendations for pregnancy and lactation. And these guidelines are updated every 5 years. And for a list of guidelines, they're actually pretty reader friendly. So that's really helpful if you want to go to dietaryguidelines.gov, and you can, if this is not the life stage that you're in, you can, scroll to the appropriate life stage that you are in. So it gives recommendations for each food group based on calorie needs. So calorie needs are higher during pregnancy and breastfeeding. So it's very similar actually between a pregnant woman and a breastfeeding woman. The calorie needs are about 330 for the first 6 months of lactation and about 400 more for the second 6 months of lactation. What's also great is it gives a picture of a healthy eating index score. So based on average intakes and recommendations, where are Americans falling right now? And like I said, this is also available for the life stage that you might be in, not just, pregnancy and lactation. So if you want to go to the dietaryguidelines.gov, that would be something you might want to look into. So for pregnancy, the healthy index score out of 100 is 63, and the healthy index score for lactating women is 62. So that's out of 100 is kind of like a score on a test, if you will. So we're doing, women are doing well, just room for improvement. And it also gives things to limit. So it gives information on how much to limit the added sugars, saturated fat, and sodium. And so when you look at the average intakes, it looks like women are currently getting enough grains and enough protein foods, but they are lacking in vegetables and fruits and dairy. So vegetables, fruits, and dairy. The green veggies are actually on target. So that's kind of funny because those are always advertised as, a healthy food, green leafy veggies. So that advertisement is working, especially for pregnant and lactating women. But veggies of all colors are needed, and the starchy vegetables like beans and lentils and peas, they give you protein as well. So those are some things to look into if you're getting enough veggies. The recommendations would be, based on your calorie levels, but in general, you can think 2 times a day for veggies and 2 times a day for fruit. And then dairy kind of leads us into my next topic. Dairy is super important. It has a lot of vitamins and minerals, protein, calcium, and vitamin D in some of the sources. So a goal for dairy is 3 servings a day. And so why that leads into my next topic is I just recently did a continuing education module on the role of prenatal nutrition and nutrition during breastfeeding. and rapid brain development. So what happens is they're talking about this critical period of the first 1,000 days. So from the start of pregnancy to 2 years of age is the first 1,000 days of life. And it's the most rapid brain development occurs at that time. So taking hold of this critical period and getting the best nutrition, and thinking about the food insecurity, how that can impact, lifelong nutrition, because your brain is connected to every body system. So when you support the brain development, you're also supporting every other body system, like your heart and kidneys, and things like that. So it talks about 14 nutrients that are needed in higher quantities during this period of time. And out of those 14 nutrients, 50%, so 7 of them are in dairy products. So, that is really critical to know, that dairy is so important in this first 1,000 days of life. So whether it's, in pregnancy or breastfeeding or introduction of solids, trying to incorporate dairy as often as possible. It also can give fat. If you're feeding a child under the age of 2 or 1, the first year, 1 to 2, you are looking for high fat foods. So that includes high fat dairy products. You can get fat from plants as well. But the fat allows for brain development and helps with the eyes. Protein is one of the nutrients that's a component of all cells in the body, and it regulates metabolism. So like I said, most pregnant women are getting enough, and lactating women are getting enough protein. Iron is always one that's talked about a lot. That helps with the brain processing speed. So that's kind of cool to know. And iodine. So the iodine was the main focus of this presentation. So I learned a long time ago in school about iodine in goiters, and they talked about the goiter belt, which was a region of the country that wasn't getting enough iodine. And that's why they came up with iodized salt. So to decrease the deficiency of iodine. Well, over the years, iodine was actually taken out of the salt that's used in our foods. So the salt that is used in our processed foods is not actually iodized most of the time. And then there's a lot of trends with buying these boutique salts, as far as Himalayan sea salt or pink salt or whatever it might be. Even kosher salt might not be iodized. So one, it's not in our salty processed foods, the iodine. 2, some of the table salts that we're buying is not iodized. And then 3, the sources, whether it's lactose intolerance or the other source, besides dairy, a good source of iodine is seafood. So seafood is not, heavily intake food. So thinking about if it's not dairy, maybe you do like seafood, or if you go to the Institute of Medicine and type in iodine, it will give you other sources, because iodine is not listed on the nutrition label. So it's kind of hard to know what are good sources of iodine. For pregnancy and breastfeeding, it is recommended to take a supplement, prenatal vitamins, but also to check the label, because not all prenatal vitamins actually have iodine in them, actually about 60%. And some of those prescription prenatal vitamins you would think would definitely have iodine. They don't necessarily. They were actually less likely to have iodine. So the iodine requirement is 150 microgram of iodine in a supplement is the recommendation. Vegans or vegetarians can be at higher risk of iodine deficiency. So considering, like I said, going to the Institute of Medicine and finding some iodine sources, or once again, finding that supplement that has the iodine in it. So why is iodine important? Again, it's for the rapid brain development. They have found that like iodine deficiency, even a mild low intake of iodine can decrease IQ. So it's important for physical and mental development. So that is maybe the second part of your question, Alyssa, is the micronutrients that you need more of. In the dietary guidelines for Americans, it was mentioned iron, folic acid, and iodine. But like I said, in the presentation I just completed, there's 14 nutrients that are very important for this period of time of rapid brain development, and half of those are in dairy. So that's kind of helpful to know. But yeah, you can look into the dietary guidelines for Americans, the iron requirements, the folic acid, those are both in your prenatal vitamins, but you most certainly should check the label to make sure. And hopefully that answers your question. Your nutritional needs do change during pregnancy. They do increase. You need more of these vitamins and minerals and macronutrients. But thankfully, even when you're trying your best, you can't be perfect, and you don't have to be. You don't have to be, because even those that don't have the best nutrition, the breast milk is still very high quality. So that's really good that nature is taking care of. So hopefully that answers your question for today. And if you have a question that you'd like to be part of the episode, go to Imago Nutrition, IMAGO, nutrition.com, and to submit a question. Have a great day.